In the sleepy, sun-bathed town of Date City, Florida, the unexpected was rare, and the tragic even rarer. It was a place where the sun cast long shadows over neat, tranquil streets, and where every face was familiar. But on a fateful day in 1993, the town's serenity was shattered, giving way to a mystery that would haunt its residents for decades. 12-year-old Jennifer Odom, with her sun-kissed hair and a smile as bright as the Floridian sun, was the epitome of youthful innocence and promise. Every weekday, like clockwork, she rode the yellow school bus that trundled along the tree-lined streets of Date City. Her home, a modest, loving sanctuary she shared with her mother and younger sister, was just a stone's throw away from the bus stop. But February 19th was different. The bus rolled to its usual stop, its doors yawning open to let Jennifer out. With a casual wave to her friends, she stepped onto the familiar path that led home. It was a short walk, one she had taken countless times before, under the watchful eyes of the neighborhood. Yet, as the bus pulled away, leaving a trail of dust in its wake, it was as if the earth itself had swallowed Jennifer whole. The news of her disappearance spread through Date City like a wildfire. A pall of disbelief and fear descended upon the town. How could a girl vanish into thin air, mere steps from her own front door? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the empty streets, a chilling realization set in. Jennifer Odom was gone, and the search for her would unearth secrets that lay dormant beneath the idyllic surface of Date City. As the night crept over Date City, the sense of urgency intensified. The police, along with a growing number of volunteers, rallied to form a search party that spanned the town and its outskirts. The local authorities, unaccustomed to dealing with disappearances of this magnitude, called for reinforcements. The case of Jennifer Odom had rapidly escalated from a missing person to a potential abduction. Under the glow of the streetlights and the beam of flashlights, the searchers combed through every nook and cranny of the town. The nearby woods, usually alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures, were now filled with the echoes of Jennifer's name, called out in hope and desperation. The community, bound by a collective fear and resolve, worked tirelessly, their eyes straining in the darkness, looking for any sign of the young girl. The police coordinated the efforts, mapping out the area into sections, ensuring no stone was left unturned. They questioned everyone, from the bus driver to Jennifer's schoolmates, trying to piece together the moments leading up to her disappearance. The town, usually asleep by this hour, was now a hive of activity, united in a single cause: to bring Jennifer home. As dawn broke, with no sign of Jennifer, the reality of the situation set in. The search, initially filled with hope and adrenaline, now carried a weight of despair. Yet, the community's resolve did not waver. They expanded the search area, delving deeper into the surrounding countryside, driven by the hope that Jennifer would be found, safe and sound. But as the hours turned into days, the mystery of her disappearance only deepened, leaving more questions than answers in its wake. In the midst of the frenzied search for Jennifer, the life she had led in Date City came into sharper focus, painting a picture of a vibrant, ambitious young girl whose potential was as boundless as the Florida skies. Jennifer, born on a warm August day in 1980, had grown up in the nurturing embrace of a small-town community, where everyone knew each other's names and stories. Her early years were marked by the laughter and challenges of a typical American childhood. Jennifer's parents, though they had divorced, ensured that she and her younger sister never felt the absence of love. Her father, though living in a different city, remained a steady presence in her life. Jennifer's mother, a pillar of strength and affection, had remarried a man named Clark, bringing a sense of stability and completeness to their household. The family's move to Joseph, a quaint town near Date City, offered them a fresh start. There, amidst the sprawling farms and close-knit community, Jennifer's talents and passions flourished. She was a whirlwind of energy and enthusiasm, excelling in school and extracurricular activities. Her prowess in water skiing was well known, earning her a place among the top young athletes in the country. Music, too, was a significant part of her life. The clarinet, her instrument of choice, and her participation in the school band brought her immense joy and pride. As the townspeople learned more about the young girl they were desperately searching for, a collective sense of loss permeated the air. Jennifer wasn't just a missing child. She was one of their own, a bright star in the small universe of Date City. The search for her was more than a mission. It was a journey to bring back a cherished member of their community, a young life brimming with unfulfilled dreams and aspirations. The sun had barely risen on the 19th of February, casting a soft, golden light over Date City. It was a day like any other in the Odom household, where the morning routine unfolded with the comforting regularity of family life. Jennifer, ever punctual, was up early, her mind focused on the upcoming music competition in Tampa. Her dedication to her clarinet was evident in her diligent practice, the melodies floating through the house as she prepared for the day. Her mother, a constant figure of support, was ready to play her part in their daily ritual. They left the house together, a routine as familiar as the route to the bus stop. At the stop, they shared a moment, a mother's loving gaze watching over her daughter as she boarded the school bus. It was a silent promise of safety, a routine that had never failed them until now. Jennifer settled into her seat, her thoughts on the day ahead. The bus journey was short, a familiar path through the sleepy streets of their town. As it neared the stop, just 180 meters from her home, Jennifer gathered her belongings, her mind perhaps on the music sheets and the clarinet that awaited her at school. The bus screeched to a halt at the intersection, and Jennifer stepped off, waving goodbye to her friends and the driver. Her mother, following the bus in her car, watched her daughter alight, a ritualistic wave their customary farewell. As the bus pulled away, Jennifer's figure grew smaller in the distance, a part of the day's ordinary canvas. But that ordinary day was about to take an extraordinary turn. The moments after Jennifer stepped off the bus would become a void, a gap in time that no one could account for. As her younger sister returned home later that day to find the house locked and Jennifer nowhere to be found, the realization dawned with crushing weight. Jennifer's routine walk home had taken an unthinkable detour into the unknown, launching a mystery that would grip the heart of Date City. The afternoon of February 19th transformed the Odom household from a sanctuary of warmth and love into the epicenter of a growing nightmare. Jennifer's younger sister, arriving home to find the doors locked and her sister absent, felt the first pangs of unease. It was unlike Jennifer to be late, let alone unreachable. The sisters' routine was well established. Jennifer, the elder, always returned home first due to their different school schedules. Confused and worried, Jennifer's sister took the familiar path to their grandparents' house, which stood on the same property. After explaining the situation, she borrowed a spare key and returned home, hoping to find Jennifer inside. Her calls to their mother at work only heightened the sense of alarm. Their mother's voice, usually calm and reassuring, betrayed a note of panic as she learned of her eldest daughter's unexplained absence. The family's concern rapidly escalated as they pieced together the afternoon's events. Jennifer's best friend, upon being contacted, revealed the last known moments of Jennifer's day. They had ridden the school bus together, disembarking at their usual stop. They had parted ways as Jennifer walked towards her home, a mere few steps away from where the bus left her. This revelation plunged the Odom family into a state of disbelief and fear. If Jennifer had indeed arrived home, where could she have gone in such a short time? The area around their home, a remote and tranquil part of town, offered few clues. The possibilities were haunting. Had she decided to venture somewhere unannounced, an uncharacteristic decision for the responsible and communicative teenager, or had something more sinister occurred in those few, unaccounted for minutes? As the local police were alerted, the Odom home became a hive of activity and worry. Officers arrived, their presence a stark reminder of the gravity of the situation. The initial search efforts were redoubled, with the hope that Jennifer would be found nearby, perhaps at a friend's house or a familiar spot. But as hours turned into evening, and no trace of Jennifer was found, the community braced itself for a broader, more ominous search. The girl who had disappeared in broad daylight had left behind a trail of questions, and a town grappling with a growing sense of dread. As the search for Jennifer Odom intensified, a crucial piece of information surfaced, steering the investigation into a new direction. Among the flurry of interviews and tips, several of Jennifer's schoolmates mentioned a peculiar detail: a blue pickup truck parked near the bus stop on the day of her disappearance. This detail, initially a mere footnote amidst the chaos, quickly became the focal point of the investigation. Witnesses described seeing the truck as an older model, with faded paint and a distinctive silver bumper that seemed out of place. Its presence near the bus stop was unusual, especially in a town where every vehicle and its owner were known to the community. The police, seizing on this lead, began to piece together a more sinister narrative. The blue pickup, an anomaly in their routine town, could potentially be linked to Jennifer's disappearance. The road where the bus stop was located led only to a few homes, including the Odoms, making any unfamiliar vehicle particularly conspicuous. Detectives canvassed the area, showing pictures of similar trucks to locals, hoping someone had seen it or, better yet, the driver. They collected descriptions, trying to narrow down the make and model of the vehicle. The search for the blue pickup became as fervent as the search for Jennifer herself, with roadblocks set up and hundreds of trucks inspected. However, the truck seemed to have vanished as suddenly as it appeared, leaving behind no trace but the memories of a few observant children. The mystery of the blue pickup truck added a new layer of complexity to the case. Was it merely a coincidence, an innocent bystander in the wrong place at the wrong time, or was it the key to unraveling the fate of Jennifer Odom? The answer lay hidden in the labyrinth of rural roads and the silent witness of the sleepy town. The days following Jennifer's disappearance saw Date City transform from a quiet rural community into a focal point of a massive search operation. The police, aided by the FBI, expanded their search to a radius of several kilometers around the town. Hundreds of volunteers joined the efforts, driven by a shared sense of urgency and community spirit. The once peaceful town buzzed with the sound of helicopters overhead and the sight of search teams combing through fields and forests. The community's involvement was unprecedented, with residents from Date City and neighboring areas coming together in a united front. They searched on foot, on horseback, and with the aid of all-terrain vehicles, refusing to let the vast and challenging landscape deter them. As news of the search spread, the story of Jennifer Odom captured the hearts of people far beyond the town's borders. The disappearance of a young, talented girl in such mysterious circumstances resonated with parents and families everywhere. The volunteers included not only locals but also strangers who had traveled distances, moved by the plight of the Odom family and the community's relentless search. Each day brought new challenges, but the resolve of the search parties remained unwavering. They traversed rugged terrain, waded through streams, and navigated the dense underbrush, clinging to the hope of finding Jennifer or any clue that could lead to her. Meanwhile, the police and FBI worked tirelessly, sifting through leads, conducting interviews, and analyzing evidence, determined to solve the mystery that had enveloped the town. But despite their exhaustive efforts, Jennifer remained missing. The days turned into weeks, and the initial surge of hope began to wane, giving way to a grim realization. The question on everyone's mind persisted: what had happened to Jennifer Odom? The answer, however, remained as elusive as ever, shrouded in the silent, sprawling expanses of rural Florida. Weeks of tireless searching and hopeful anticipation came to a tragic end when a haunting discovery shattered the community of Date City. It was a Thursday afternoon, under the heavy canopy of a secluded woodland area, when a local couple stumbled upon a horrific sight that would forever mark February 25, 1993, as a day of mourning. Lying in the underbrush, obscured by nature's indifferent embrace, was the lifeless body of a young girl. The couple, paralyzed by shock and disbelief, immediately contacted the authorities. The police descended upon the scene, a somber quietude enveloping the area as they cordoned it off, preserving what had now become a crime scene. The body was in an advanced state of decomposition, making immediate identification difficult. However, the sinking hearts of the officers told them what they feared most. This was likely Jennifer Odom. The absence of clothing on the body painted a grim picture, suggesting a fate far worse than anyone had dared to imagine. As the news spread, a palpable wave of grief and despair washed over Date City and its surrounding areas. The community, which had come together in hope and solidarity, now found itself united in sorrow. Parents held their children a little tighter, and neighbors looked upon each other with a mix of sadness and suspicion. The innocence of the town seemed irrevocably lost, replaced by the haunting reality of the evil that had visited them. The Odom family, confronted with their worst nightmare, clung to each other amidst the swirling chaos of police activity and media attention. The confirmation of Jennifer's identity came days later, through dental records and the recognition of jewelry found on the body by her mother. It was a confirmation that no parent should ever have to face. As the town mourned, the police shifted their focus from search and rescue to a hunt for a killer. The serene rural landscape of Date City had become the backdrop for a crime that defied comprehension, and the pursuit of justice for Jennifer Odom had just begun. In the wake of the tragic discovery, the Date City Police, along with the FBI, embarked on a relentless quest to bring Jennifer Odom's killer to justice. The investigation, now a homicide case, intensified as detectives pored over every lead, every witness statement, and every piece of evidence they had gathered. The blue pickup truck, once a faint lead, now took on a new significance. The search for the vehicle became more desperate, with police stopping and inspecting hundreds of similar trucks in the area. Roadblocks were set up, and the descriptions provided by the schoolchildren were circulated widely. Despite these efforts, the elusive truck seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving no trace for the authorities to follow. Parallel to the search for the vehicle, the investigators focused on the crime scene. Forensic teams meticulously combed the area where Jennifer's body was found, looking for any evidence the perpetrator might have left behind. But nature, with its unyielding progression, had complicated their efforts. Rainfall in the days following Jennifer's disappearance had potentially washed away crucial evidence. The local community, still reeling from the shock and grief, rallied to support the investigation. Posters with Jennifer's photograph were put up throughout the town and surrounding areas. A reward was offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the killer, funded by donations from local residents and businesses. Despite the exhaustive efforts of the police and the community, the breakthrough they desperately sought remained elusive. The case of Jennifer Odom, which had started as a disappearance and evolved into a murder investigation, had now become a haunting enigma, a wound in the heart of Date City that refused to heal. Years passed, and while the memory of Jennifer's vibrant life and tragic death never faded, the hope of finding her killer dimmed with each passing day. Her family, the town, and the investigators held on to the dwindling embers of hope, praying for a miracle in the dark shadow of unresolved grief. Years turned into decades, and the case of Jennifer Odom, once a flurry of activity and hope, settled into a cold case file. Date City, though forever changed, had slowly returned to its routine, the scars of the past lingering just beneath the surface. The Odom family, carrying the weight of their loss, continued to seek closure, a quest that seemed more elusive as time marched on. Then, in a twist that reignited the flickering flames of hope, the case experienced a sudden resurgence. Advancements in forensic technology presented new opportunities to re-examine evidence that had been collected years ago. The FBI's involvement brought renewed resources and expertise, breathing new life into the investigation. Detectives revisited the blue pickup truck lead, now armed with a more sophisticated database and analytic tools. The descriptions provided by witnesses were reevaluated, and the search for the truck was reinvigorated, spreading beyond the local area to neighboring states. Simultaneously, the small piece of evidence that had been preserved from the crime scene, the partial fingerprint, underwent advanced analysis. The emergence of new DNA profiling techniques also allowed investigators to re-examine the items found near Jennifer's body, searching for genetic material that had previously gone undetected. As the investigation gained momentum, a sense of cautious optimism spread among the Odom family and the Date City community. Media attention returned, casting a national spotlight on the case once more and drawing in tips and leads from across the country. In a convergence of persistence, science, and a bit of fate, a breakthrough finally emerged. The partial fingerprint, long held as a tantalizing clue, found a match. This discovery, coupled with new DNA evidence, led investigators to a suspect who had, until then, remained in the shadows. The arrest of the suspect, decades after Jennifer's tragic death, brought a complex mix of emotions to Date City. Relief and vindication were tempered by the sorrow of what had been lost. For the Odom family, the arrest brought a semblance of closure, though the pain of Jennifer's absence would never fully heal. As the case moved to trial, the community of Date City prepared to relive the events of that fateful day in 1993, hopeful that justice for Jennifer would finally be served. The enduring legacy of her life, marked by her talents, her dreams, and the indelible impact she had on those who knew her, would be honored in the pursuit of justice, no matter how long it took. The spirit of Jennifer Odom and the resolve to uncover the truth had proven stronger than the passage of time.